with this Unite the Kingdom rally, everyone who's organising it, and probably most people who are on it, they know full well that if you were to kick every refugee out of this country, if you were to stop every single small boat coming, everything would still be absolutely shite here. Shite. Not to say that these things aren't worth talking about. Not to say that, you know, some communities in particular, my hometown of Middlesbrough, I think they get more than their fair share of refugees. You know, they're where they go, it's decided on a cost-effective basis. So you send them to the cheapest places. Those places that are cheap to send refugees, they've been fucking abandoned for the last 40 years. This entire country has been on a glide path to shite for 40 years. But places like Middlesbrough in particular used to be fucking wicked. Used to be an absolutely great place to live. And it still is for the most part. The people there are spot on, funny as, class. But there's no denying that it's a much shitter place than it was. Shops are boarded up, restaurants closed down, bars closed down. Nobody's got any fucking money. So yeah, when you send the world's most vulnerable people into that environment, that's not ideal. That's fucking worse than ideal. It's just, it's not going to work out, you know, and people there get pissed off. It's the same with Grimsby, Scunthorpe, every other fucking town that has just been completely abandoned for 40 years. Things aren't working there anyway. So yeah, you put in a vulnerable population, it gets worse. People can't get doctor's appointment anywhere. The schools are shite. The schools don't work properly. So then you need to get translators in. The councillors have got no money. It's all shite. All of it's shite. But it's not the fault of the refugees. It's the fault of the fuckers. And they're across the board. The Tories, Labour, soon to be Reform. They're the ones that have abandoned us. Anyone, whether it's Tommy Robinson, Nigel Farage, Keir Starmer, whoever's going to come up next for the Tories, if they're not telling you that they're going to completely change the system, if they're not telling you that they're going to completely change the way that we just funnel all of our money upwards, all of it goes up without any investment in our communities, if they aren't saying they're going to change something about that, they are fucking shining you on. They're shining you on. Anyone who says that stopping these small boats, stopping refugees is going to solve the problems of this country is fucking shining you on. And I'm not one to tell you how to be patriotic. Do whatever you want. Wave a flag if you want. But for me, patriotism is believing that we shouldn't have sold all our waterworks. I mean, to many, many different people, but say Thames Water, that's owned by a Hong Kong conglomerate. The fucking post office is owned by a Czech billionaire. The trains are run by Germany. The German government owns our trains and buses. Gas and electricity is run by a million different people, but say EDF, the French government, run a lot of it. For me, the Americans are coming for our NHS. For me, to be patriotic is to say, that all needs to stop. We need to get it back into our own hands. The British people need to run it through the government. We need to nationalise it. That's the sort of shit that makes a difference. That's the sort of shit that makes life better. That's the sort of shit that puts money back in our pockets. Because at the minute, the working class and the middle class are way overtaxed. You pay God knows how much on your wage when it comes in. I know it's obviously it depends on how much you're earning. You pay national insurance on top of that. Then you got your council tax. Then you got a flat rate of VAT of 20% on everything you buy. There's fucking no money left. That's why the boozers are closing. That's why the restaurants are closing. Because there's fucking no money left in your pocket to go out and spend it. Now, if we are going to pay that much tax, I want everyone to pay that much tax. I want the very wealthiest in society to pay the same proportion of their wage that I pay. And I want to see what that looks like. So look, wave your flags, be pissed off. But unless you're pointing your anger at the people who have completely fucked this country, and that's the politicians and the people who pay the politicians, you're going in the wrong direction with it. And it's ineffective. It's completely ineffective. Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson might tell you they're going to stop all refugees and small boats. They're just not. They're just not. I'm not saying don't be pissed off by it. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's all right. But, like, it's not going to happen. And if you don't want refugees, don't support parties who go to war in the Middle East and fuck up other people's countries so they have to come here. That's one thing. That ain't going to stop either. If there's more money in the country, if our communities have more investment, like they used to be invested in, if everything is better, then we'll be better placed to deal with these refugees. I mean, the fact that we're putting them up in hotels is a fucking disgrace anyway. I mean, we used to have an abundance of housing in this country that wasn't owned by private landlords. We used to have an abundance of council housing. You know, if a refugee got a council house now, people would be fucking furious because other people want that council house. Never used to be the case. People used to be able to get council houses when they wanted them. They used to be able to be in a council house until they're ready to buy their own house. All that's gone away. People are staying in council houses because private accommodation is too expensive. Of course it is. I rent privately and most of my wage goes on my rent. It costs a fucking fortune. And my house is shite. And I daren't say anything to my landlord. Like, it's not shite, it's all right. But like, the lock's broke. I'm not going to him and saying, fix this lock. I don't want to be a bother to him, because when my rent comes due, I don't want him to think, oh, he's a troublesome tenant. I'm going to stick his rent up. You know, I've got to be careful. Anyway, that's by the by. Ultimately, the only thing that's going to make this country better, and you know this, everyone knows this, is to invest in our communities, put more money in our pockets. That's it. Nothing else. Everything else. Any other solutions people come up to, they're deliberately shining you on to avoid talking about that. I mean, Elon Musk talked at this Unite the Kingdom rally. Elon Musk, he's got £400 billion worth of wealth. Now, in fairness, that's in America, right? But when anybody has that amount of wealth, that's money that we don't have. As the Tories and as everyone on the right is so fond of saying, there is no magic money tree, and there isn't. There really isn't. If people are accumulating these incredibly vast sums of wealth that you couldn't spend in a million lifetimes, that's money that we don't have. That's money that we haven't taxed and put back into our society. 100%. Just don't be shined on by all of it. Don't be kidded on by all of it. I'm not saying that there isn't a problem. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be marching. But I don't think the premise of the march, what people are marching for, I just don't think that, again, you get rid of it all, you will not solve the problems of this country. Everything will be just as shite. If Keir Starmer came out and he went, you know what, you're right. You're fucking right. You got me banker rights. Every refugee's going and putting the Royal Navy in the channel, and we're going to be blasting the small boats as they get close. No one's getting near this country, right? You've turned my brain on, you know what I mean? And forget the UN Convention of Human Rights. I'm not bothered about any of that anymore. Sorry, the UN Convention on Refugees. I'm not bothered about any of that. We're gonna go with it, right? Starting now. Tomorrow, and the week after, and the month after, everything is just as shite as before that announcement, because it doesn't make a fucking like a difference. There are many different ways to make this country better, but that way, getting rid of everything and making Britain white and all that, won't do fuck all about it. It is not a solution to our problem.